Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're concluding our study of Matthew chapter 13 today by reading about Jesus' visit home to Nazareth in verses 53 through 58. He's just finished the parables sermon, and he goes home. He goes back to Nazareth. Before the sermon started, the very day that he delivered the sermon, his mother and brothers were looking for him, but of course they were trying, as Mark tells us, trying to take custody of him because they were saying he was insane, and he didn't go out to see them. We're told in John's Gospel that when Jesus moved to Capernaum, he took his family with him because he is head of household, something we'll find out today from Matthew's Gospel. So I don't know if Mary was there when Jesus went there, or if she went with him when he went. I don't know. But this was the town he grew up in, Nazareth. It's in Galilee. Small town, but not that small a town. During the first century, it was a town of between 1,300 and 2,000 people. Those are the best estimates that the historians give to us. I've lived in towns about that size. And you do know just about everybody in town. And anybody that does anything noteworthy, you certainly know them. And you know their family. And you're probably not more than 2 or 3 degrees separated from anybody in that town. And so Jesus, who is one of the great celebrities, if not the great celebrity in Palestine in his day, they know who Jesus is. They knew him anyway because he was the sole carpenter in that town. You might find that hard to believe, but if Jesus was a builder working in wood instead of stone, they didn't build houses of wood. They built houses of mud bricks. He would have been more of an artisan, someone who did, finish work, that kind of thing. Doors, chairs, window frames, those kinds of things. And so, not that people used many chairs, but they did, stools and things. He was the carpenter, not just a carpenter, the carpenter. And it doesn't go well. Chapter 13, verse 53, it came about that when Jesus had finished these parables, he departed from there, and coming to his hometown, he began teaching them in their synagogue. That's how he started out, Luke chapter 4, he reads, Isaiah and says, this applies to me. And it was his habit to do that, to teach in the synagogue. He began teaching them in their synagogue so that they became astonished and said, where did this man get this wisdom and these miraculous powers? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And his sisters, are they not all with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And they took offense at him. And Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor, except in his own hometown and in his own household. And he did not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. In Mark's gospel, they don't say, is this the carpenter's son? They say, is this not the carpenter? And of course, both are true. It's not. And maybe both were said on that day. We have no reference of Joseph, although Mary is still there and is mentioned by name in the Gospels. She's there at the crucifixion. She's there in the book of Acts, chapter 1. So Joseph is almost certainly dead at this point. And so there's a big family here, and Jesus is head of household. These are not his cousins. These are his siblings, his half-siblings anyway. And we know that James is the James who wrote the book of James, and Judas is the Jude who wrote the book of Jude. They do not deny the wisdom, the truth, the power of his teaching. They do not deny the miracles that he performed. They're just offended at him. That this, he's getting above his raisin, in other words, that old Flat and Scruggs song, an old bluegrass song. And they're offended at him. because instead of feeling blessed that God's promised Messiah was one of their own, they're offended at him. I heard someone say he was talking about how he was jealous. That was his nature, and he said, "I don't mind someone succeeding so long as they don't live in my neighborhood." Ah, I thought that was awfully honest. And this is exactly the way they feel, and we understand. And this prophet is without honor except in his own country may have been a phrase that was a familiar phrase that they used. Jeremiah says similar things throughout the book of Jeremiah, but it does connect us directly with John chapter 1. He came to his own place, and his own people did not receive him. That's exactly what happened. Okay, we're going to pick up with chapter 14 and the death of John the Baptist next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.